Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Ryan O'Neill.
And here's Eric Griffith from PC Mag here on this Monday morning. Eric Griffith, known to many of you, Cornell High School graduate, then went to Ithaca College. Now he writes for PC Magazine. Eric, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here, as always.
How'd I do on your bio?
That's pretty much right. I mean, you skipped a few years in there between college and PC Mag, but that's okay. Those were the dark times. We don't talk about those.
All right. Eric writes for PCMag.com. Has a lot of very interesting articles. Starting out with this one from June 20th. More smartphones may be leading to less broadband.
So let's define the terms here. Broadband, what I'm saying there is wireline broadband, like the high-speed internet lines that go to people's homes. So in Hornell area, that's usually if you're a customer of Spectrum for your cable, or maybe you have Empire Access for the fiber to the home, like I know my family has bought into and they love a lot. The thing is that a lot of people are no longer even getting broadband internet access in their homes. It's kind of like how a lot of people gave up landlines when they got mobile phones. Why have two different phone numbers? Well, now, more and more people are just using the wireless connection to their phone to be the only internet connection that they have at all. And while it's not a majority of people necessarily, it's certainly growing. And it's growing even more because broadband is harder and harder to get, especially in rural areas of the country. There's lots of places they can't get cable, they can't get fiber, they can't even get a low-speed DSL line from their local telephone exchange company. Nobody wants to run a physical line, especially not when wireless is growing and growing. And in the next coming, say, 5 or 6 years, as we get to 5G, which is the next technology for wireless, those speeds are only going to grow more and more.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask you. When 5G comes along, will it be any different than it is now when a lot of people are using their cell phones and gadgets and whatnot?
I would think it's going to get even worse. I mean, and when I say worse for the broadband providers. I mean, there's going to be, if 5G can deliver what it promises when it comes to throughput speeds to your computer or your tablet or your phone, there's going to be very little need in a lot more cases to get a broadband connection from, unless you're like doing serious internet work at home, you might not need broadband at all. And certainly for the younger set, where there are a lot of people out there, say age 25 and younger, who don't even use laptops. They've only ever used phones and tablets, and maybe not even a tablet. They basically just have a phone grafted to their hand. They're not going to see any need to get anything that's more expensive. Why spend $70 to $150 more a month for a broadband connection when you're already spending probably $100 a month on a phone that's doing everything that you need as far as getting on the internet?
Talking to Eric Griffith from PC Mag. Is there anything else before we move on to the next article that you wanted to mention with that one?
Well, I think it's interesting to see the reasoning behind the majority of people who are not getting broadband anymore. The number one issue is people are saying that broadband is just too expensive. And these are the kinds of things that the big broadband providers like Spectrum, they need to be paying attention to this. It's great. They have their big monopoly. Spectrum was formed out of the mash of Time Warner Cable and several other networks, Bright House, Charter. They all were bought up by Charter and turned into Spectrum to become an even bigger monopoly so that they could fight it out with the bigger monopolies like Comcast, which is in 40 of the 50 states. I mean, they're massive and they're huge. But they don't like to play. They don't like to give up money. They don't like to compete. And it's going to be an ongoing problem when the government just wildly allows any of these companies to buy up as many other ISPs or other pieces of media. Comcast literally owns NBC. There could be a time in the future where Comcast doesn't want you to see NBC programming. In theory, they could prevent that if you're doing it over their internet connection. It's crazy, but that's the world we're heading toward unless somebody breaks up some of these monopolies, especially when it comes to wireless carriers and broadband carriers. They're going crazy.
Speaking of modern technology, Facebook had some strange problems. On Tuesday, people were trying to post photos and images and were not able to. Facebook, I guess, put up some message about that. Were you in the loop on that one, Eric?
I haven't seen that, but I'm actually seeing, I was just on Facebook about a half an hour ago, and I'm seeing still that there are image problems on the site. I was trying to look at pictures of my nephew, and they're not showing up. I tried to post a picture of my own son so that I could compare pictures of how cute my son is with my nephew to see who could battle it out for cuteness, and I can't see any of these pictures. It's very frustrating. So I think there is an issue going on. I read a story earlier today where Google, who provides the back-end services for many of these companies, across the board. Now, I'm not going to say Facebook is necessarily using Google, but it's not to say that they're not either. They could be using Google, they could be using Microsoft, they could be using Amazon, any of those big providers of cloud services. If they have one problem at one company like Google, that problem spreads out to a number of places across the web potentially, and I think that's what might be happening with Facebook this week and even going into today.
Well, thanks for that answer. Yeah, I kind of wonder what was going on. That explains it. Talking to Eric Griffith from PC Mag. There's an interesting article, 9 weight loss apps to help you shed the pounds.
Well, if anybody knows me, they know I need weight loss apps to help shed the pounds. So, of course, my boss said, hey, Eric, why don't you look at these apps and feel bad about yourself because you're not actually using any of these. So I jumped right on it. I was thrilled to do it. And there's a lot of these. Anybody who's out there who's got some pounds to shed, they should definitely be putting their smartphone to work for them because it's literally with you all the time, and it makes it incredibly easy to go in and essentially journal everything that you're eating and keep track of the calories that you're putting in your body. I used to do this with Weight Watchers years and years ago when it was like a little paper journal and I had to carry it around, and I found it incredibly annoying. And, I'll be honest, it's still annoying to do it on your phone, but at least it's the convenience of the phone. And the phone apps, all these apps, like from MyFitnessPal or Weight Watchers, or there's another great one that I use called Lose It. Most of them are free. They might have some advertising, or you could pay a few bucks for, to get rid of the advertising. They make it incredibly easy to even just scan the barcode on the food that you're eating and automatically pull in all the information about the food, including the calories in it, and boom, you don't have to really think about it. You don't have to calculate anything. It's doing it for you and telling you when you hit the maximum for what you should be eating that day so that hopefully you can get back on track with a weight loss program.
Yeah, that's something I definitely need to do, Eric. Next up on your PCMag.com list of articles, how to get photos off your iPhone or any smartphone. I guess the old way was to hook up a USB cord to your phone and hook it up to the PC or phone.
It's kind of the old-fashioned way to do it, but it is certainly the direct way to do it. With an iPhone in particular, if you plug your lightning cable into the phone and the other end into your PC, what should happen is you should go into, if it's a Windows computer, you open up Windows Explorer, you should see your iPhone listed almost as if it's another drive on your computer, and if you open that up, what you will see is a folder called the DCIM. That is a Digital Camera Images folder. That is the generic folder name that is used on every digital camera ever made, going back to whenever. I couldn't even say. The first one's in the 1990s, probably. And what that allows you to do is copy all of the camera images from your phone right over to your hard drive. Boom. Super fast, That's, let's not make super fast because it depends on how many videos and images you
Right, yeah.
big, but that's probably the fastest way to do it. I mean, the other options that are maybe a little more convenient are to use services like, say, Dropbox or Microsoft OneDrive, which are background backup and synchronization services. And I have about 4 of these running on my phone all the time because I take a lot of pictures of my baby kid, and whenever I do, they're all perfect because he's just the cutest kid in the world. I don't know if I've mentioned that. So I make sure that these pictures are backed up everywhere. I back them up on Amazon. I back them up on Google. I do it on Dropbox. I do it on Microsoft OneDrive. So I'm kind of using up a lot of my background services wireless connection, but I'm on Wi-Fi most of the time. It's not too big a deal for me. And that way, all this stuff is backed up, and I can instantly access it on my PC because Dropbox, for example, that's the whole reason for its existence. It synchronizes everything on my phone to the web and then instantly puts the stuff that it has on the web on my computer hard drive. So I can instantly go and take a look at it and use it for whatever I want on my PC itself.
Now, you make a point in this article how to get photos off your iPhone or any smartphone on how to share these photos to social media.
Yes, that's another easy, simple way to do it is, if you've got a great bunch of pictures on your phone that you want to be able to use elsewhere or back up, you can just share them on Facebook or share them on Instagram, and that means you've got access to them on your PC, but then so does everybody else. So, it's not a perfect solution if you wanted to back up every single picture you've ever taken, and they're not all necessarily social media worthy. Because as cute as my kid is, sometimes there's pictures of him that I don't want on social media. So I got to be careful there. I don't want his little butt hanging out if I took a picture of him after a bath. That's not going up on Facebook.
Eric Griffith from PCMag.com is our guest. This is an interesting one. Just last week it was talking about STEM education with the head of Alfred University, Dr. Mark Zupan. And you talk about STEM education, one of your articles. No state has more women than men with tech degrees. Why do you think that is?
Well, this research was done by a company called Typing.com, and they're a free service that basically is all about teaching typing and other tech skills like coding to as many people, especially teachers, but also students across the country. They have hundreds of thousands of customers, and they did some research looking into this based on a few things where they looked at the total number of STEM-based degrees that have been issued both in 2 years, in 2015 and in 2017. And they were able to look at it based on what gender got STEM degrees. And, it's a pretty sad fact that no matter what year you're looking at, there has never been a time when more women or even an equal number or even close to an equal number of women have earned STEM degrees as men have, despite the huge push in the last 10 to 15 years to make sure that STEM degrees, which are, by the way, science, technology, engineering, mathematics fields, that makes a big difference. Now, one thing to note in here is that these degrees that they quantify here don't take into account the medical field. So if you do that, for example, nursing and doctors, that does push things more aggressively in the favor of females. But that's a huge debate. There's a lot of people who don't feel that the medical field should be pushed into the umbrella of STEM, because women have kind of already ruled in the medical field, just because of the, going back many, many years of more women being nurses. But I'm sure if you broke it down between doctors and nurses, then that's a whole other kettle of fish that I don't have any data on. But, STEM for right now is definitely very, very male-heavy, and it seems to be only growing more and more that way.
Talking to Eric Griffith from PCMag.com. Let's take a quick break. We'll check the forecast with Rob. We'll be right back.
You take flooring for granted, don't you? I mean, if you think about how much wear and tear you put that floor through, why would you even think about buying a cheap floor when you need one? Buy quality flooring from Mullen Factory Direct Floor Covering in Almond. Mullins buys in bulk, and that means you save money on quality flooring. They even offer 0% interest for qualified buyers. Shop over 400,000 square feet of major name brand in-stock flooring. And get it installed now. And no box store wait. Mullen Factory Direct Floor Covering in Almond. Let them floor you.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carroll, who says it's going to be a nice day.
Yes, it is. It's going to be a very nice day. Big area high pressure headed our way. Right now, the high stretches from the northern part of the state, Brian, back up to north of Lake Superior. It's going to control our weather through Wednesday and produce abundant sunshine. If you're on vacation this week, you're going to be pretty happy with your choice. Lots of sunshine today, very comfortable. We're going to be 75 to 80 this afternoon with low humidity. Just a little bit of high cloudiness moving through. Sunrise earlier today at 5:42. Sunset tonight at 8:49. It'll be clear tonight, comfortable for sleeping. Open up those windows. Lows tonight dropping down to about 50 to 55. We've got sun in the forecast for tomorrow. Still very comfortable, 75 to 80. Tomorrow night, clear, 55 to 60. And Brian, we're sunny, warmer Wednesday, 80 to 85. There's a chance of showers and thunderstorms on Thursday as a cold front heads towards the region.
Back with Eric Griffith from PCMag.com. This is an interesting one. The best iPhone keyboards.
iPhone keyboards. Not everybody really gets these, but when I say a keyboard, I'm talking about your on-screen keyboard on your iPhone that you use to, say, type out messages or even type out a long-form text document, which is entirely possible because, you can use Google Docs or you can even use Microsoft Word. All of these things are available for free on an iPhone. The standard keyboard, on-screen keyboard that is offered by iOS, the operating system for an iPhone, is pretty great. It has things like dictation ability. So you're essentially using Siri built into the phone to dictate long-form messages. I use it all the time. In fact, sometimes I prefer it rather than typing. If I'm willing to say something in my phone that as long as I'm not out in public and being overheard, I'm much more apt to talk to my phone to send a text message than I am to type it.
Not to interrupt the thought, but do you have any sense of what most people do, either dictation or typing themselves when they're dealing with a cell phone?
I don't have any data to support it, but anecdotally, my thought is most people are typing. I think that, and especially as the younger generation grows up with these things, they are just built, hardwired to learn it and learn how to type with their thumbs. That's just, I think, how they're being raised today. And I know that I've only been using a smartphone for 10 years, and I'm an old dude, but that's how I do a lot of things on my phone. I just understand for myself that the speaking can be more accurate than the thumb typing. You avoid a lot of the autocorrect options and problems that sometimes crop up with thumb typing. Now, all that said, you can get a keyboard and do something completely different than using the keyboard that is built into the iPhone. It's great because you can get different colors. You can get different abilities. There are keyboards that do nothing but help you find animated GIF files to throw into your messages and make them more interesting. There are keyboards that do what's called swipe typing. So you're not even actually tapping with your thumbs. You're more moving your thumb or your finger around from key to key and therefore typing words super fast and using a built-in autocorrect that is matchless. SwiftKey is
That was my next question, SwiftKey.
Yeah, that's been a staple, a favorite on Android phones for a long time, and the minute that iOS had third-party keyboards available, SwiftKey jumped onto it, and it's available. You can get different themes for SwiftKey, too, and make it look all pretty, and then sometimes they cost $1 or $2 here and there, and you don't have to do that, but if you do, that's what's keeping companies like SwiftKey in business. Actually, I shouldn't say companies like SwiftKey. SwiftKey is actually owned now by Microsoft, so they're going to do just fine. You don't really need to give them a couple extra bucks. But there's plenty of other for-pay third-party keyboards that are worthwhile. I've got a big list of them here. Some of them do like giant keys to help you with your big fat fingers and your big fat thumbs, make it easier for you to type. There's some that do just fun little emoji things that look like you but aren't really you. You name it. The keyboards can do a lot, all, with the hope of helping you be a better communicator when you're sending messages or typing things up on your phone.
Did you take typing in high school, Eric?
I did. I certainly did.
Oh, yeah. Who'd you have?
It was Mr. Caruso, who was the accounting teacher at HHS.
Sure.
I also took his accounting class. I went to high school with his daughter, Kristen, who was great. And
right.
Yeah, I learned how to type on those. I think it was an IBM Selectric electric typewriter, and thank God I did. I think if I had not learned to type in high school, my life would be very, very different right now.
Were you surprised that the modern keyboards still have the old home keys, AS, DF, JKL, semicolon?
I know. I mean, that's now ingrained into the firmament of life. I don't think there's any way to avoid that unless they were to go back and start teaching keyboarding to kids using, a Dvorak layout or whatever is considered to be the easier thing to do. But, good luck getting that done, because then you got to reteach the teachers how to teach it. And I guess that's possible. They're doing all this new Common Core math stuff, and I guess the teachers all hate that. So why not teach them entirely how to type again, too?
Speaking of Common Core, that was something else I wanted to ask you, Eric. Do you ever run into, in your work at doing reviews, apps for educators, and in particular for Common Core classes?
I have not, no. It's not something that I personally get into. My reviews tend to be a little more consumery focused, and the few things I can do, like I'm reviewing a smart baby camera right now, and I get to review some fun things for tracking dogs with GPS collars, that kind of thing. But the educational stuff, I leave to others at PC Bag.
Sure thing. Now, we got a couple of minutes left. Any movies that you want to talk about? Any summer movies coming to mind?
Well, definitely this week, we all know what's out, right? Spider-Man Far From Home. It's the latest Marvel Universe movie, and I have not seen it yet. It's only been out for a day. I'm hoping to get to it soon and put my kid down for a nap and run out of the house to go see a movie. That's the plan. I will leave him with his mother, I promise. But that's a big one that's coming, and there's also a new Quentin Tarantino movie coming out later this month, which will be very interesting. It's the first movie that Tarantino has done that's actually about the movie industry.
Yeah, I just saw that. Any thoughts on that one? I didn't just see the movie, by the way. I was reading a review of it. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting because it's not only a look at the movie industry, but also kind of a look at the Manson family and what happened to Sharon Tate. That Margot Robbie is going to star in the film as Sharon Tate, who was, obviously a victim of Charles Manson back in the 60s.
Right.
And I don't know how much of her story coincides with the fictional story of the actors played in this film by Brad Pitt and others. So I'm not sure what the overlap is going to be, but it's a Tarantino movie, so I will certainly tune into it just to see what is happening. Even if it goes crazily off the rails, it'll happen in a crazily off the rails entertaining way.
All right, Eric Griffith, he writes for PCMag.com. We try to get him on at least once a month and talk about what's going on in the techie world and in the movie world. Eric, was there anything I did not bring up in the last minute or two?
I think maybe we should talk more about how cute my son is. No, we don't need to do that. But there's always interesting stuff happening at PC Mag. We just did a bunch of awards for printers, the top Business Choice and Reader's Choice printers, for example. If you're interested in getting a new printer anytime soon. You should check out those stories to find out what brands are the very best based on surveys we did with readers. I'll give it away right now. Brother is the company that you want to go with. Everybody loves Brother. Brother has won our Reader's Choice Award for 11 years straight, and it just seems to be a juggernaut of high-quality printing and great tech support and fantastic everything. People love it. They love the consumables. They love the printouts. You name it. Brother's the tops.
Eric Griffith, always great having you on.
You bet. Thanks, Brian.